that we make sure that everyone understands that our goals are not the goals of a elite people. They're the goals that will profit everyone in this country. You know, they're the goals that will nurture families and keep people safe and educate people and give people a prosperous life. And these are goals that cross all racial lines, all ethnic lines. And I think if we can communicate that well, we will bring people to us.
To get minorities involved in this movement and away from the Democratic Party, I believe, needs to be sharing your heart, honestly, with them. I'd like us to reach out to 100% of the black community, because I believe the majority of those folks are conservative, family value people. They're pro-life, they're pro-family, they're hard workers. I plan on going to black churches this year. I'm making it my mission to get Debbie Stabenow out of Washington. And if I have to go to every black church every Sunday between now and November, I'm going to reach out, because I believe they agree with us more than they agree with Barack Obama and Nancy Pelosi and Harry Reid. And the only difference between them voting conservative and liberal, secular, progressive is they just don't know the facts. They believe the facts. It's their heart and soul. But they don't know that they are conservatives. And I believe it's our mission to let them know they are and to make them part of our family. That's my answer for that.
I will take my minute to give an example. The Willow Run Tea Party folks. Folks, it's all about where you live. Now, Willow Run, the neighborhood I live in, and have been there since 1968, left for a little while and came back. Matter of fact, 3 weeks ago, I left the caucus at about 2:30 in the morning. Bill Bigler. He never lets us leave. And I drove my street, which is Nash Avenue, and you may have heard this story on the news. I passed by 3 young men in the street who would not give me the street that I pay taxes on. I had to drive in a snowbank to get around them. Well, my neighborhood is not the best neighborhood. It is what you might call a mixed neighborhood. 5 minutes later, 2 of those young men were shot and 1 was dead. I will tell you that taking this message into that neighborhood, you know something, it's not hard. It's an opportunity you have to have. You have to accept the responsibility and obligation, because those folks are no different than us. You know what's different about them? De Tocqueville was right. He was right. Alex de Tocqueville said that when people learn they can vote themselves an increase, democracy fails. Well, we're not championing democracy. What we're championing is the constitutional republic. And I'm going to tell you, you take some time to sit down with people. I don't care what the color is. I happen to live in a, quote, minority neighborhood. And I set a young man on my knee one time because I give free hot dogs. I have my barbecue on my front porch. And sometimes we get the neighborhood kids that love to come by. And this little boy, his name was Trey, and he was from a broken home. And I was too, you know. My wife was from a broken home. And I see, you're going to red flag me? You should. I'm sorry, folks. This is important to the question. We're going to take a few more questions. Trey looked up at me and he said, Mr. Moore, is God white? Now, can you ask yourself what would cause a little black boy to look at a white man in a black neighborhood predominantly and ask him if God is white? We've got work to do, folks. God has no color, and that's the answer I gave them. But we have young people's respect. If it isn't, we will stand. Because you know what they respect most? Standing. That's what they respect most. So in your neighborhoods, and where you are, go for the message. Now, I'm going to change up a little bit. We were going to have people write questions down. I'm going to come to you. You raise your hand, I'm going to come to you, but I'm going to give you 15 seconds to ask the question. And everybody has to stick to the minute, but I didn't have to. I apologize for that. So raise your hand if you have a question. I want you to ask. And direct your question at one of them, and I will allow anybody who's interested in answering to ask.
Okay, I was just wondering if you guys are having problems with the state party working with your Tea Party candidates.
Who's got the mic there? Go ahead, Randy.
I ran as the Tea Party candidate on the Republican ticket for the 37th State District. And the Republican Party as a whole let us both run for the Republican nomination. They gave us equal time. They were totally fair. One thing that I feel really good about is that under Bobby Shostak, as the current chair, who at the state convention mentioned, Bobby Shostak said the words Tea Party over 17 times that day. My wife counted them. Linda Lee Tarver's here as ethics chair back here in the back. She is completely on board with working with our groups. Norm Schinkel, right here in the middle of the room, ran for coalition's chair and is a staunch supporter. We have the opportunity to work together, the party, the state party, and the Tea Party groups, libertarian groups, the 912 groups. I believe we are completely in sync together this year. That's
Does
my
anyone else
opinion.
want to answer that question?
When we were deciding who we were going to choose for, when there was still an election choice for the state committee, for the state chair, I told my members of the Willow Run Tea Party caucus and the Ann Arbor Patriots, I'd say, Bobby Shostak has been nothing but supportive of us to this point. He's been there, he's been responsive. I'm going to vote for him because I'm hoping he'll be the same after as he was now. And in my mind, he has been, and we have received very good support from Norm, Jennifer Helmer, Linda, and everyone that we've had to work with, in fact, with the state.
Okay, what we're going to do, Janice, we're going to take, we've got time for maybe 2, maybe 3 more questions. And I want Janice and Tony to answer the next 2 questions. John? No question.
Okay, well, I'd like as many to answer as possible, maybe. Do each of you have each other's phone numbers or email addresses, and do you correspond with each other? And if so, why not? If not, why not?
We correspond with each other by email, and I have attended many of the group meetings so that I can get a feeling for the various groups, and Tony has spoken at various meetings. So I think that as we grow in our knowledge and understanding of organizational politics, if you will, we are communicating more and more, and it is a vital, important aspect of our success. Even though we're autonomous, we have to be coordinated in our efforts.
Yeah, I actually think Randy Bishop is on my speed dial. That's not really my choice, though. I'm just kidding. No, we actually do have a really good relationship. We try to work together when we need to, which we killed the fake Tea Party in this state by working together, all the Tea Parties across the state. So while it wasn't all us, we had a lot of help, but we do communicate quite a bit.
Okay, what about the other 4?
Wait a minute, John. You want to follow up and break the rules?
Well,
John Taylor is a co-administrator of the Willow Run Tea Party caucus, also opposed.
Okay, so you have Randy's phone number, you have Bill's and Tony's, and Ed's, I believe.
I have everybody but probably Tony's.
we have email, everybody.
Yeah, we all have email.
I guess I believe there's a trouble with Tea Party organizations communicating, leaders I'm talking about, communicating with each other and having a combined force or police
Your
cohesive.
concern is not necessary. Right, you communicate very well.
Did you hear that?
I think Randy said the concern is not justified,
It's not necessary.
necessary, because there is good communication between them. Sometimes it's not well known how to communicate. Okay, we may have time, well,
Okay, we got time. Go.
okay.
Yeah, in our local Tea Party, we're also pretty active with the GOP, and we struggle with how do you be active but keep it at arm's length. We don't want to be co-opted by the GOP. We'd actually like to co-opt the GOP, but it's that tightrope you have to walk to be involved but not get co-opted. How do you folks feel?
Well, that's a good question. Running a state organization that often has to beat up on GOP legislators because they vote for things like corporate welfare, and also on the Washtenaw County Executive Committee, it's tough. Really, honesty is the best policy. When we go into our executive committee, we stand up and we're honest. And if one of our legislators does something wrong, then we're honest about it. We say it. But there's a certain point where your language is not constructive. But be honest. And if a GOP legislator or your local GOP group needs to be smacked around a little so that they can be straightened out, then don't be afraid to do it. But you'll find that a lot of the GOP groups do work well with the Tea Parties. But I've seen trouble areas in various areas that we have big groups. And our folks have just stood tall, stood their ground, and they've been successful.
One of the things we've done in Macomb County is precinct delegates get into the system, get inside, because we had some issues in Macomb County, and our chair in the 10th district is now a Tea Party guy. So that's what you have to do: take them apart, reconstruct them, work our way up.
We got one more question, but Bill Bigler's favorite statement is, we're not here to kick the Republican Party out, we're here to become the Republican Party. So that's a good time, guys.
I've heard a lot here about, the direction you're taking to reclaim your areas and to influence the candidates away from what they've been. What direction would you suggest taking, like in our county, where we elect, we elect for conservatives, we elect Republicans, we do not elect Democrats.
Okay, I'm going to, since Bill Bigler, I'm sorry to do this, Bill has had such success in this area with getting this done. And we're going to have time for one answer. Bill, you're going to finish it.
Well, the key to this, the voting power in the Republican Party is the precinct delegate. If we wish to exert power, and ultimately you have to, it is a power game, we need to become the majority caucus within the precinct delegates. We need to do that. And then we can bring our principles to the GOP. My experience, our experience in Washtenaw we've got good people to work with there, but they need a push every now and then. They're too stodgy for us, and we want to do more, basically. But we need to have the voting power to do that. And to do that, we need to recruit precinct delegates. And if any of you would ever want me to work with you on that, I would be happy to do that anytime. It's a specialty of mine.
I'm going to make a comment. We are going to be closed. And Randy's going to come and tell you where the next sessions are going to be. But the last thing I want to say, our caucus has